Hey everyone in Facebook land. Well, it's been a while since I've done a video, and I am getting close on the truck being done. But of course, like everything in this project, you take one step and you run into something that, should be fixed while you're here, while you're in, you might as well do it. So, and I thought this would be a good sort of encapsulation of what this whole journey with the truck has been about and like. So I was putting the door back on. When I bought the truck, I remember this, but I'd forgotten over the past 4 months, and I got on and I went to move the window and realized that the handle is, blown out. So it's supposed to be firm, as this one up here is, like sturdy. So what it is this peg comes through a flange that over time just gets blown out in there. And what to do? So you could try to find a new one, which would be very difficult. You have to get probably a whole door from somebody somewhere. So like all these things, it's about sort of fabrication and fixing. So I put the question out to the Ford Courier Nation Facebook page, and somebody replied that they had actually fixed this and sent a whole group of pictures. So what he had done was he had basically welded a coupling or a little tube out from the flange around this post. And looks feasible. There's some space in here to fit that thing, and I think I can do it. I have the tools, and it looked like a good little project. I think I would be just, every day unhappy with the way this is right now, and on top of that, it's just something that this thing does not inspire any confidence, and I think I'd get the door all done and covered and upholstery done and try to roll the window up and down a couple times, and it could even break. So that's not going to work. All right, so that's the order of the day, is to get these bolts that are never supposed to come off. Obviously, they have this kind of tar-like product of some kind. It's hard now on there, so I'll have to chip away at that to just even get these bolts to come out, and then remove the unit from the back side, and then we'll take a look at it and see if we can't fix it and put it back. All right, here we go. Okay, so we're back at the bench. I got the piece out. You saw how much work that was. And that was after I spent, I don't know, a couple hours putting that door together. I had to take it all apart. So, we do it right because we do it twice. Seems to be the theme of this project. Now, so I have the unit out, and I immediately notice that the offender, this guy, is different than the one in the pictures that were shared on the forum. In that unit, this base plate, this flange here that this is coming out of, had little hooks that went into this base plate to hold it in place. This has these rivets that run down here and underneath the gear arm. So that's problematic, right? Because I'd have to grind these out. I have to take this whole thing off and then grind these out, and then to get this off, and then be able to weld something onto here, and then have to weld that base plate back on into place in the right place. That just seems very iffy. It just seems like that could be a real problem. So I think what I might do, well, that's interesting. You see that? You see that little guy that holds, and you see how that has the movement there? I think that's the bit. That's the offending problem. And you can see where that, let me see if I can get you in the camera here. You can see where that flared out. So perhaps the solution is to fix that on the backside. Maybe there's something I can do there, because that I can access without changing anything, and then I can get all this cleaned up and reinstalled. I actually feel I feel like that would work. Okay, let's, I'm gonna assess this and then we'll start at it. All right, so after some grinding and some filing, I think we have this thing maybe close enough to put a washer on. Let's take a look. Can this camera capture that? Let's see. You can kind of see the recess on this side. Let's see, this is terrible. There we go. You can see the half moon. So let's go lay a washer on here and see what we got. Sorry about that. That's not the greatest. Jesus, man. Come on. Okay, let's go get a washer. All right, so look at that. Ooh, there's some play in there. Not totally happy with that, but that's getting close. I mean, one thing I could do is I could put it on there. Oh, there's still a little hankiness. I gotta level that out. It's catching on something. But I mean, I could put it like that, because what it wants to do is push into this half moon that's open up on this side, because that's effectively where you would have pushed down on the window to roll it up. So it's that downstroke that just applies all that pressure against that part of the metal. And over 47 years, it's worn away. So that's one option, but I think I'll keep on going at this and get that a little more perfect. All right. Okay, I couldn't find a washer that fit that peg right. It's always play, and they weren't really proud enough. So I'm just gonna make one. This is 1/4 inch mild steel. So I'm gonna basically cut this out. Well, I'll drill the hole first, which I think I have the right bit for, and clean this guy up, and that'll sit on that crown. All right. All right, so after some drilling, cutting, and grinding, we have this little guy. Looks like a Fred Flintstone wheel, something like that. But it does fit on there. Pretty snug. Pretty snug. So, I think that's the one. That should tack weld on there real nice too. Still a little bit of unevenness in here. I don't know if I'm gonna sweat it though. I think that seal is pretty good. It should take a tack weld. I can just kind of clamp that together and just get a good weld on that, and that'll never move in 100 years. And I'm gonna push this thing sort of, there's a little bit of play, so I'll push it down away from that half moon blowout, and then we'll see how it goes. does this not want to? It's interesting, this weld is definitely attracted to this steel more so than the base plate. For whatever reason. It's getting a little hot. I don't want to totally fry all the innards in this thing. But I think we need to get a nice anchor down here. If that doesn't hold it, I don't know what will. That is certainly not beautiful. All right. Let's see. Well, that went on pretty well. That was a nice bead. Like you can see that bridged across there really nicely. Don't want to get this too hot and contort that little lip. That would be bad. If anything, I think it would pull it out. Yeah, that looked pretty good, actually. That was nice. All right, now let this cool down a bit. Give it a couple. A couple more. All right, well, it's in. And you know what? I think it might be no better than before. That's not true. I mean, I can feel like before when I pushed down on this, it was pretty spongy, kind of a spongy feel to it. Now it moves, but I can feel the end of the movement definitively against that back washer I made. I mean, that is a different feeling. So that's a little bit more confidence inspiring. I think just the mechanism inside is worn out. Whatever's in there, there's some bushing probably or something. I'd have to take it apart. Not in that kind of mood. That's not going to happen. So maybe it's a future project. So at this point, put the door back together, and just I thought that was a good example of how much work is involved in one little project, and sometimes they come out better than others. This one, I would say, was not perfect. I had recently done the windshield wipers, which was actually, I'm very happy with how that came out. That was a 2-day project that I thought was just going to be a install, where the windshield wipers come out. It has these swing bars underneath that move what moves the windshield wipers, right? And they stick through these metal shafts. They call them pivot shafts. And they were rusted inside of there, solid, so that they wouldn't move. And I had to get those sleeves off somehow without destroying the threads. It was a whole ordeal. It was crazy. I ended up, like, at the end of the day, taking the thing completely apart, welding the stud back on to the little pivot point and the whole thing. It was quite remarkable. But now it's perfect. They're like brand new. So, I mean, that was an example of a project that that worked out great. I don't know if this worked out great. Certainly a lot of work. It's my whole morning. But we'll see. All right, y'all. Ciao.